Hello, happy Tuesday. This is Darren Roberts, Master Trainer at Impact Training Corporation and the Abundance Accelerant. Welcome to the Tuesday Tickle and Tick, show number 20. Today, lessons from Europe to be different. Lessons from Europe to be different. How do you separate yourself from the competition? What is something new if you have a message to deliver to attract more followers and be more interesting? How do you separate yourself from the competition with the explanation of your products and services within business? As many of you know, my wife and kids and I have been blessed and had the pleasure of being on holidays, and we've traveled around Europe for the last 4 weeks and visited all the iconic sites. And some of those iconic sites more than lived up to their expectation. We had amazing experiences, and some weren't quite to the level we thought they might be. And there's a reason for that that stood out that I need to teach you. Now, this is a bit different because I've never taught this ever before. I've never had the conversation to groups about it before because it's only just become aware of it. So that's the good news for you, is that you guys can be the first one to implement it into your business or your communication. So we know, you know, if you've been trained by me before or through the Tuesday Tickle and Ticks before, that if you're going to explain a message, if you're going to explain your products and services, you need to create unique selling points. You need to teach something so that you're seen as an expert, so you obtain followers. You need to relate your message or your products and services to the emotion that the listener is wanting to move towards or move away from. But that's not enough. There's something else that I can now throw in for you to be more interesting. Now, as we went through Europe and we went to all these iconic sites, the first one we went to was the Louvre Museum, which is the art museum. And it's the oldest and most prestigious art museum in the world and houses the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. Now, I'm not a big art connoisseur, but of course, I wanted to go and check it all out. So we walked through the Louvre and the art was interesting. We stopped and looked at the artwork. The building itself was absolutely incredible. So I also had great interest in the features of the building as well. But as we walked out through this world-class art, we weren't overly mesmerized by it. We respected it, but it wasn't quite the experience that we assumed we'd have. Now, of course, through the rest of the tour, we went to lots of other iconic sites and cruised down the River Seine and walked to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Went to these amazing cathedrals, 800, 1,000-year-old cathedrals. Went tours of Champagne House, all these great things. And the rest of them had a greater experience than we had at the Louvre, and there's one reason for that. The reason for that is that every other tour that we took, and after the first couple, we made sure that we had this. We either had a guide take us through, or we had a guided tour through audio guides. Now, even as we went into other art museums, like the Van Gogh Museum, instead of just looking at the artwork, we could hear the history of the art. We could hear why the art was produced. We could hear the thought process of the artist at the time. What were they trying to create? There were stories about that person's life. We also went to the UK and went through Westminster Abbey, and there's over 3,000 burial sites or monuments to kings and queens and ex-presidents and Sir Isaac Newton. And again, instead of just looking at the plaques, we were able to hear through our audio guides the stories of these individuals. What are the achievements that they had? What are the struggles that they went through? What positive influence did they have on humanity? And all these tours that we did with a guided tour or a real guide created so much more value because we had the experiences around us. We had the explanation of what was occurring and what occurred up until that point. I thought, gee, how can we put that into your communication? How can you put that into your business? Even if your product and service is similar to the business down the road, what can you talk about as a point of interest about your business or your building? We know that facts tell and stories sell. So we need to create some stories. They've got to be real. You can't make them up. But you've got to tell some stories, do some research about your business. So let me give you an example. Many years ago, I worked in a health club called Choice Fitness, and it was in the Hyatt Hotel in Adelaide. Now, this is a real boutique health club with a limited number of members and amazing service. It was actually also the health club. It was a public health club, but it was also the health club for the Hyatt Hotel guests. And the Hyatt Hotel at the time had a lot of celebrities that came through, and we actually had a wall of fame. And that wall of fame is when celebrities came through, they had a good experience. We asked them on the way out, would you mind just quickly signing our wall? And lots of them wrote little messages about their workout or the service and signed it. And with the members or potential members that came through, this became a point of interest. This became a talking point. As soon as they walked in the door, they saw this wall of fame. They stopped and read it, and we had discussions about who had been in there, the experiences they had. Not to big note, but just as a point of interest. It was really easy to build rapport and mutual commonality. There was no awkward pauses with a potential new member coming through because we had something to talk about. But it also attracted them to go, wow, I want to be here. If this place is good enough for that celebrity, I want to be here as well. So then I thought, what else can we do? I know that here in Adelaide, there's a Good Life Health Club in the Adelaide City, which is in a historic building. I thought, I wonder if they talk about the history of the building, or do they just talk about their products and services, which of course are really good. So as an example, Good Life Health Clubs in Adelaide, I did a bit of a research. Now the building, the Good Life Health Clubs in Adelaide is in, it was put up in 1880 and 1881. And it was actually the head office for the Bank of Adelaide. And there's lots of research and stories around that, which I don't have time to go into now. But again, it's a good example of some extra work that Good Life Health Clubs in Adelaide can do to create their stories. It was occupied by the ANZ Bank, and it's a heritage listed building. Now I went and checked out lots of information about this, and it's really, really quite interesting. So what can you find out? What is the history of the building that you're in? What is the history of, is it a family business? And do you tell your potential customers or your current customers that history? It's not going to be the majority of your explanation, of course, but wow, what a great, interesting place to be if there's a bit of history behind it. So that's my challenge to you, is to think about your business. And yes, you're going to talk greatly about your products and services, but I want to think about, what can you research? What can you find out? It's got to be truthful. What are some interesting points that you can talk about that has your business stand out from the competition? Is it where the products have been created from? Is it where the business was created from? How many generations is your business? Is it the area that you're in? What is the history of it? What are some fun facts, some interesting topics you can talk about? As I said, easy to build rapport and mutual commonality, easy to have that initial conversation. Even if your products and services are very similar to the business down the road, you'll now stand out because people are interested in the building, people are interested in the story. It creates that level of connection. So there's my challenge to you, is to go out and do some research. Put some comments below when you find out, or if you know already, what are some interesting facts about your business or the people within your business? Do you have celebrities that have been there? Do you have an interesting history to the ownership? Is the building a point of interest? So you guys have a great Tuesday. Put in the comments below what you find. Put it into your communication and in your marketing as well through your website so that you stand out from the crowd. And we'll look forward to hearing those success stories and seeing you again next week for the Tuesday Tickle and Tick. Bye for now.